Hey job seekers, Jennifer Tardy here. I am your career success coach and welcome back. We're on a new episode, and in today's episode we're going to talk about what are the best categories, hands down, that you need to have in your resume. Now, if you remember, last week we talked about what is the best way to format or to organize your resume, and now we want to talk about what exactly those categories are that you want to keep in there. So odds are, if you're checking out this video, then you're probably trying to get your resume right because you're on your journey to getting that fantastic new job. I want you to know about my new course, which is the Recruiter Magnet Resume. Check it out if you're interested. It's jennifertardy.com/resume. You can find the details below in the details section. Now, do not forget to stay tuned all the way through to the very end of this video because, of course, I'm going to share with you my most favorite segment, which is the career success bonus tip for underrepresented population. So stick around. Let's get it started. So you're going to notice that this is almost like a part two, again, to last week's video. Now, I'm going to share with you the 5 important categories that you need to keep in your resume. And I want to start off with section number 1, or category number 1, which is the contact information. So obviously, you need to have the contact information within your resume clearly written at the top. Now, some people choose to add in their social media handles. My preference is to only put what's necessary in your contact information, which is your name, your phone number, your address, and an email address where someone can actually reach you. Now, if you really want to connect people to your social media, then I would stay away from all of them except for LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is a professional site. The reason why I typically tell people to stay away from even adding social media handles in your resume is because you can leave yourself kind of exposed. You may have forgotten about a crazy picture or a post that you put up 5 years ago. And if you're giving that recruiter or that hiring manager a way to find out more about you, then odds are if they're doing enough digging, they may find something. And who needs any of that drama in their life? So if you decide to use one, use LinkedIn, but that's it. Category number 2, headline. Now, most people would say, oh, but wait, I thought that I would put an objective in my resume. If you are still thinking that you need to use an objective in your resume, then that is the wrong type of thinking, because recruiters and employers know what your objective is, which is to what? Find a job. So everyone knows that your objective is to find a job. So why not use that prime real estate space in your resume? Remember, that top half of the resume from the previous video is that top real estate to be able to use. Use that for a headline. And the way that I describe a headline is, think about a headline in your resume the same way that you would think about a headline in a newspaper. It must be succinct enough that a person can easily read it and know what they are about to enter into or read about when they actually review the rest of your resume. Keep in mind, too, that a headline has to make a recruiter or an employer want to read the rest of your resume. So I share with people all the time that within your headline, you can talk about how much overall experience you have in a specific specialty area or in an area of expertise. Talk about your industry experience. Talk about areas where or industries that you've also worked into to gain this expertise. You can talk about things like that, but make sure again that it's only 1 to 2, maybe 3 lines at the most. You can also talk about just different systems that you're an expert in as well. But your goal of an actual headline is to make an actual recruiter or an employer want to read further in your resume. And so that is category number 2, your headline. So, side note, I want to know, what is the best headline that you've written for yourself? Maybe this has inspired you to write your own headline. Tell me below. That's what we'll do. If you comment below on what your headline is in your resume, I'll give you some feedback. I sure will. So leave us a comment below and let me know, what is your headline? And again, think about your headline as a way to draw a person in. Think about it as your elevator pitch to your resume, to who you are overall. Okay. Category number 3, highlights of qualifications. Now, your highlights of qualifications should easily emphasize why you were qualified for the job that you were trying to apply to, okay? And so when I think about qualifications, I think about the qualifications for that specific job title, that job, qualifications for that department, qualifications in that organization, qualifications in that industry. So you can think about your highlights of qualifications in 4 different ways. Keep in mind that the highlights of qualifications section should be bullet pointed and probably no more than 4 to 6 bullet points. And so if you only had 4 to 6 bullet points that you could actually use to tell someone why you are highly qualified to do this job, then how would you tell them? How would you specify that in your resume? So if you checked out last week's video, then you already know that the first half of your resume should be almost like giving the answer. Do you remember that math homework example that I gave you? The first half of your resume should give them the answer. The second half of your resume is to show the work, like in that old math problem. The teacher told you to give the answer and then separately show the work behind the answer. So when you do your highlights of qualification section, that is your way of giving the answers. Here's how and why I am uber qualified within this role, within this department, within this company, within this industry to get this job done. That is going to completely help you to stand out. Category number 4, which is your education. A lot of people, this is a very controversial section where a lot of people say, hey, put your education at the very bottom of your resume. And I'm like, no, you have invested way too much money and time into your education, whether you've gotten licenses, certifications, your bachelor's degree, your graduate degree, whether it's a master's or a PhD. Why would you save it for the bottom of the resume when you know that a recruiter is only spending 6 to 7 seconds reviewing your resume? No, put it in the prime real estate area. Show them there and spend some time on it too, letting the employer know that, here's the university that you went to, here's the degree, the college within that university, the degree program. If you graduated with honors, put that information in there as well too. If you are 2/3 of your way through a degree, but you haven't completed that degree, put that in there as well too, because it still says something very special about you that you even attempted to go after it. And if you've gotten far enough through the program, there's a lot that you've taken in that's actually extremely transferable to that next job that you may not even realize. So make sure that you don't leave that off. Put that in your resume. That is the category for education. And now we get to category number 5, which is the experience section. So again, if you watched part 1 of this video, which was last week's video, in the best way to organize your resume, then you will already know that the first half of your resume should have those other 4 categories, which are your contact information, your headline, your highlights of qualifications, and your education. That is the first half of your resume. It's where you're giving the answer up front. The second half of your resume should hold your experience. And your experience section is where you're showing the work. You're reiterating the answers that you put at the top, and you're explaining why you're qualified for that position. And you're doing all of that in your experience section, and you're organizing it in a way that recruiters easily understand overall. Now, as promised, I want to go all the way back up to the very top of your resume while I share with you the career success bonus tip for underrepresented populations. Now, today's bonus tip is all the way back up at the contact section. So in the contact section, there's some information that some job seekers choose to leave out intentionally, out of fear that a recruiter or an employer may discriminate against them. So if you feel that you will be screened out by way of your name, because maybe you feel that your name is, it will easily identify your ethnicity, or it may easily identify your gender, or if you feel that your address, you may be discriminated because of where you live, some people opt out of putting that information in there. I still think that this information is important, so I wouldn't recommend opting out of it. I would instead ask you to think of it this way. If you don't want to share your first name because you think that it easily identifies your gender or your ethnicity, then use a first initial or use your middle name. And so some people use their first initial and their middle initial and then their last name to be able to add that to their resume. That is completely acceptable as well. And as for your address, some people, instead of putting down their street name, they'll put down just the city and the state. And the reason why I still encourage people to at least put down the city and the state is because some recruiters or some employers will screen you out if you don't have an address on there, because they may have decided they're not going to pay for relocation, or they're only looking at local candidates, they may screen you out because they don't know where you live overall. So pay attention to that tip. That is my career success bonus tip for this video. Hey guys, guess what? Do you remember how I told you before that you're gonna pick up some hints on my chia method? So I hope that you caught the C, the H, the E, but you may not have caught the A. The A is a very important tip. It is not a section of your resume, which is why I didn't cover that on here. But if you're really interested in knowing what the A stands for, which really helps your resume to stand out, then don't forget to check out the Recruiter Magnet Resume program, or the course that I have, by going to jennifertardy.com/resume. Now, for those of you who really, who the career success bonus tip really resonated with, and you really want to know about how you are identified in your resume, I also have a whole free guide about 10 ways recruiters can make assumptions about your identity within your resume that I offer for free through the Recruiter Magnet Resume program. For everyone else, if you want one of my free guides, then go to the section in the details section and you'll see the link to one of our free guides that I'm offering to you. I want you to have it at no additional charge. Now, for everybody listening, if you like this video, then please click like on the video. And if you want to see more videos like this, then subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, because the bell will notify you when new videos come along. And remember, always remember that in order for us to be underrepresented no more, we must continue to listen, engage, apply, repeat. Now, we must continue to learn. Now, that's it for today. I'm Jennifer Tardy. I'm your career success coach. I will see you in next week's video. Take care.